Millions of people have quitted their jobs this past year for a variety of reasons, whether it's they're feeling stressed or burnt out, or they're looking for something more meaningful, or they just want to find more quality time, spend more quality time with their loved ones. Are you looking to make a career change or a job change this year? If you are, type in the comment +1. And if you are you clear on what's next? And do you have a plan to get there? If you're feeling a bit lost or stuck or confused or not sure how to make a successful career transition, then this episode on how to spring into a new career is for you. Hello and welcome to the Dare to Differentiate show. Whether you're tuning in live or watching the replay, I am so delighted that you're here. Type in the comment to let me know where you're tuning in from. And if you're new here, type in new. I want to welcome you. And if you've been a big supporter of mine, type in big fan and I want to welcome you back. Hello and hello. Thank you so much for being here. I'm Diana YK Chan, founder of My Marketability, where I help you find a meaningful career, navigate change, and differentiate as top talent to get hired and earn more. All right, welcome. So just let me check in of who's here. I just want to say hello. All right, we have Blair from Oregon, Montreal is here, Toronto. All right, amazing. Alice, welcome. All right, see a lot of you are joining here on LinkedIn as well. That is great to hear. Awesome. So I decided to deliver this topic today because it's the new season. It's spring. Is it spring in your area yet? There's still a little bit snow here in Toronto, but it's getting warmer here. So I thought it was a great topic on how to spring into a new career here. All right, awesome. Hey, Johan, great to see you again. Big fan, amazing, awesome. Got some big supporters here. Awesome. Okay. I haven't done a live stream for about a month now, so I just thought I would check in, do a quick review just to check in how you guys are doing as well. And, just say a quick hello before we dive into training, as I know more people will be joining here. So how was your Q1, the first quarter, the first 3 months? How was it? On a scale of 1 to 10, how great was it? Type in the comment to let me know. Quick review on my end. Q1 or January, there was a lockdown again, and I was navigating online learning with my older son at home, so balancing the schedule there. February was like Chinese New Year, so it was like a reset into New Year to catching up and celebrating there. And then there was like the war in Ukraine, and that was really hard for a lot of people as well, and navigating that, supporting some of my clients. And then March came this past month, was March break. And something I had to also handle was juggling, like figuring out what to do during March break, figure out summer camps, and recently did a live stream with Dr. Jasmine Eskler on how to own your value and worth. And that was a great one, beginning of March. If you missed that, highly recommend catching the replay. And then recently, I was on a podcast as a guest speaker called How to Be Awesome at Your Job. I have been like a longtime listener since 2018, and I was invited as a guest speaker where I talked about how to market yourself to maximize career opportunities. And I want to encourage you to check it out. It just came out yesterday. Feel free to share it. I've been a big supporter of their podcast there. So I was really proud of that to be able to do that early in March. And then last week, I recorded over a dozen videos, like these mini series videos. One of my goals this year is to create more videos and do more speaking. And I have to tell you, doing live streams is 10 times easier than pre-recorded videos. And that is because you only have one take with live streams. With pre-recorded videos, I did over 100 takes for just about a dozen videos there. So I don't know if anyone can relate to this in terms of trying out video there, but that's something I wanted to share about my recent experience. So, okay, let me see. Let me just check a quick comment here. Hey, Samantha, great seeing you again. Welcome. Awesome. Okay. All right, so here's what we are going to cover today. Here is the agenda of today on how to spring into a new career. I'm going to cover some about change management factors. So when it comes to change, What are things that you need to consider, the level of difficulty of the change. And then I'm going to move into talk about the career transition process, where I'm going to walk you through my signature, my marketability method of how I've guided thousands of clients through in making big career changes in job search there. So I'm going to walk you through that with tons of tips. It's really a lot of also a lot of high level strategy and how to think about making that successful transition. And then I'm going to walk you through on terms of how to evaluate the right fit. So once you get the offer and you're deciding whether you want to accept the offer, what are some things to consider? That's something I get a lot. Once I get an offer, should I take it or not? Is this the best offer there? So I'm going to walk through some things to consider, and then also Q&A. Feel free to ask me questions throughout. I encourage you, if you do have a question, because I know there's going to be a lot more people here, is type in either capital Q or the word question in front so that I can see a question coming in so that I can also address that there. Okay. Now, if you cannot watch this whole thing live, don't worry. There's going to be the replay. You can catch the replay on my YouTube channel later on. I will be adding timestamps as well for easy view. Okay. And then if we're not yet connected, make sure to follow me on my LinkedIn, Instagram, or Facebook, and subscribe to my YouTube channel as well. Okay. And then I also want to encourage you to engage with me there so that I know what you're thinking of and how I can tailor the talk as well. Feel free to click like and comment anytime, share your thoughts, key learnings, questions, engage with each other. Okay, awesome. I see a great audience here on LinkedIn. Hey, everyone, that's great to see you there. Okay, so before we dive in, I thought I would share with you a quick story of my own career transition story. For those who don't know, I actually had like 10 different jobs before I started my own business as a coach and speaker for the last 11 years. And I tried out many different things. From when I first started as a new grad, I joined a leadership development program at a telecommunications company where I worked in operations, the call center, change management, training, and marketing. So that gave me a pretty good view of the business and helped me understand what I really enjoy. And then 3 years later, I decided to pursue my MBA to make a career change into consulting, into management consulting, specializing in training design and HR there. Did that for a year and decided that wasn't quite for me. Even though I got closer to working with it and the HR people side of things, it wasn't quite the right fit for me there. And so then I made another big career change, pivoting into recruiting, which is another step closer to working with people. Where I was the one of the youngest recruiting for a top MBA executive MBA school. Did that for about a year and a half. Met a ton of people from all levels, all over the world, to really understand what their career aspirations are and why they want to pursue an MBA. Did that for a year and a half, and then after that, that's when I decided to start my business. So that was like 2011 when I decided to start my business. And at the same time, at that time when I started my business, I was also offered an opportunity to work at Google as their first and only recruiter here in Toronto to help them double their office size there. And so that was really the launch pad of my business and really helping people figure out what they want to do and how to differentiate as top talent. So that's a little bit about my career background. And one thing that I learned, throughout this multiple career transition process is that at the end of the day, you need to do what fulfills you. You want to choose a career that really aligns with your strengths, which is what you're good at, aligns with your interest, what you care about, and aligns with your core values of what matters to you. So that's really one of my key lessons that I learned in pursuing what really truly fulfills me today as a career coach and speaker and trainer there. Okay, so that's a little bit about my story there. All right. So I'm going to dive into today's training. So the first is to really understand the type of change you are making. This is key, as this is going to impact the activities that you're going to do, and it's also going to impact the effort and time as well. So I'm curious to hear from you, for those who are looking to make a change, what are you currently contemplating? What career options are you currently considering? Type in the comment to let me know. It's okay if you don't want to type in the comment, because I know there are some of these silent supporters here as well if you're currently in job. But for those who like to participate, let me know. What are you contemplating? What are you feeling a little stuck on there? Okay, so first step is you really want to understand your situation. So some of these things to consider. Are you looking to do something similar or different? Are you making a small or big change? Do you have an active or passive network? Are you employed or unemployed? You see, by asking these questions is actually going to impact your timeline in terms of how quickly you can make that change, right? So if you look at here, if you're looking to do something really different, looking to make a big change, and if you don't have a necessarily strong network and it probably will take longer. It'll probably take longer for you to make that change there. Okay. Now, the employed or unemployed, what I've seen from my experience as a coach is I've seen for those who are currently working because they already have a full-time job and they have other, obligations there. It can also take them a bit longer than those who are unemployed. And it's really go back to how much time can you dedicate to your career transition process and job search there. Okay, so these are some things to keep in mind when it comes to looking to make a change. Okay, so let me see here. So we're about to say I transitioned to a smaller organization as an individual contributor. I love that. I love that you're clear on that as well, right? A smaller org, individual contributor. Okay, so these are some specifics to get clear on. Sharon said, want to transition from senior paralegal to legal project manager. Great. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, feel free to share that with me in terms of telling me what kind of change you're looking to make. Okay, so this is a graph I want to walk you through because this is going to help you understand how long it's going to take you to make that change. Okay, if you understand this, then it's less likely for you to then compare yourself to others. Like when you hear these stories, like, oh, so and so got a job in like a month or 2 months, you're probably going to feel like, okay, well, how come I can't do that? But if you understand the type of change you're going to looking to make, it's going to make a huge difference. So I'm going to walk you through this 2x2 grid. Okay, so the horizontal line is the career, right? Looking to change in the career or to stay the same in the career. And the vertical line is the industry, whether you're looking to stay in the same industry or pivot. So when you look at it in simple terms here, if you're looking to stay in the same career, same industry, that's going to be the easiest change to make. Whereas if you're looking to do something completely different, change careers and change industry, that's going to be much harder, right? Which therefore means it's going to take longer to make. Okay. And so let me walk through these, right? Like when you are looking to do something similar, you can really maybe tap into your network. You can reach out to recruiters because you have the relevant experience. Because you have that network, they can probably make you referrals. So therefore, it's easier to make that change. Now, this quadrant number 2 here is that you're still staying the same career, but changing industries, a different industry. This is a very popular one that I've seen. Right? A lot of times I see clients where they've been in the same career, let's just say same company for a decade. And they want to still do what they do in their profession, such as marketing, but they just want to do it in a different industry to learn something new. So I see this happen all the time. For example, people going from, let's say, in telecommunications to banking, or from, let's say, I've seen in hospital to long-term care, or from tech to like fintech or health tech. So a more specific niche there. I see that a lot, and it's because it's an easier change to make. Okay. Now, what may be difficult is that you may think that you don't have a network in that industry. So it is so important that you start meeting people in that new industry. And one of the things that you can do is really think about people that you know that you may have worked with in the past who have made that successful transition into another industry, and talk to them of how they make that change, to ask for like some referrals there. Okay, so this is a very popular one that I see because it is considered something, if you're looking for that new challenge, something different, but it could be done really quickly there. So I had a client last year, an executive at VP level. Typically, it takes about a year to make that kind of change at the VP level, working at a global bank. And she pivoted into the insurance industry, which is kind of similar, right? Financial services, insurance there. And she was able to make that happen within 3 months. And the way she did that was she tapped into her network. She actually reached out to her former boss who joined that organization. And that's how she made it happen within 3 months there. Okay. And so this is why it's important to really assess, like in terms of the strength of your network. Quadrant number 3, okay, so a little different, is that you want to change career and stay in the same industry. So for example, let's just say that you're in tech industry and you're in, let's just say, operations, and you want to move into marketing. Right, so that's doing something different from what you're used to, right? So that is a little bit harder to change. Now, what you could do, what I've seen some people do, is they make an internal pivot first, right? Moving internally because you already have a network or you've worked with people in that department where they make that change. Or another option, what I've seen is people go get some certifications or training, designation, whatever that is, to essentially beef up their resume to learn more business acumen there. I see this quite a bit for those, for example, who want to make a transition into business analysis or product management roles, that they went to get a certification in that area to help them make that pivot there. Okay. Now, I find with this quadrant three there, I would say it's harder to tap into recruiters because oftentimes recruiters are looking for more that relevant recent experience. So I find that it's better to actually tap into a network or go direct to a hiring manager to help you make that transition there. Okay. All right. So then the last one, quadrant number 4, it's the career change and the industry change. So that's the hardest change to make. So this could be as big as I've had clients where they had a 30-year career in digital advertising agency, like worked her way up to like president, and decided to make a drastic change to become a business owner and as an entrepreneur, as a coach. And that's a big change. Okay. I've had also clients where they've been an entrepreneur for 5 years or 10 years and decided wanted to move into a corporate role afterwards. That's also a big change. And it's because that you may not be as familiar with the industry, the business acumen, the lingo that you want to use. And so that's going to take more time. These type of changes could take a year or more. I've had clients in that bucket, and I'll share some stories later on there. And so this is what I want to ask you here. When you look at this grid is, what type of change are you looking to make? Type in the comment to let me know what type of change are you looking to make here. Just type in 1, 2, 3, or 4. Okay. Share that with me. What type of change are you looking to make? This is going to help you manage your emotions, manage your expectations, and manage your timeline. Okay. The bigger change, the more complex change, it is going to take longer. Okay, that's just the reality of it. Unless you have like really strong transferable skills and you really know this new area and you have a really strong network there. Okay, so let me just check the comments here. Okay, so Anika shared, and you could have 2 too, right? I'm looking to make 1 and 3, same career, same industry, or change career, same industry. Okay, so when you have 2 of them, the key here is you have to think about what is your primary, because this is going to impact your positioning in terms of your marketing materials, your story of how you're going to tell your story. Okay. You don't want to come across as confused there. Okay. All right. So we have quite a few 4s here. Lori, Jonathan, Gustavo. Okay. Quite a few 4s here looking to make a change. Okay. And then we have some 3s here, change career. Okay, so there's quite a few what I consider bigger change. And I want to ask you, what's your reason for you? Like what's the why? What's your why in terms of the type of changes that you're looking to make? We have a few 2s here as well. Okay. So interesting. Quite a few of you are looking to make some big changes, right? The 4-3 quadrant that I'm seeing, or some of you may be unsure, which is totally okay, right? This is why I'm doing this training as well. Okay. But this is going to help you understanding and managing expectations there. Okay. Okay, so let me share with you the story. Okay, I had a client who pivoted from entrepreneurship into a corporate role in digital marketing. She had her own digital agency for 5+ years that she was running, and she was working with a lot of clients, like international clients in the food and beverage industry. And she made this pivot that she knew she wrote, like, contact me over. This was just beginning of pandemic, so 2 years ago. 2 years ago that she reached out to me, that she knew she wanted to make this change. And at that time, she had no idea how to even go about the search or how to even market herself. And so the first step was we really had to get clear on really what's next, and there, the clarity piece. And then from there is updating her marketing materials. But the change took her about a year and a half. Like the first year was just trying to figure things out, updating the story, the materials, and then doing a lot of informational interviews to be able to make this pivot. And interestingly, the way she landed this opportunity, she actually took my challenge and reaching out to over 100 people to do informational interviews. And the way she landed this opportunity was through another executive client of mine who recently also made that change into the insurance industry. And they chatted, and it was at least 3-4 months later that they reconnected. There was an opening, and that's how she got hired. And so that was a really big change, right? Essentially, she had to decide, 1, to leave her business. Second, it was like not till a year later to decide that I'm actually shutting down my business. So there was a lot of closing and all that. And then third is like the marketing, networking, selling yourself to make that transition there. Okay, so this is considered a very big change. And really, my point here is that I want to share with you is that I want to share with you this key lesson here. The reminder is that don't compare your progress and timeline to others, right? For some, it could be a few months. For some, it could be a year or two. Okay. And what's important is that you ought to understand what type of change you're going to make and really assess, like, do you have essentially that runway, that financial means to be able to sustain that, to make that change, right? And is it worthwhile for you there? So that is really, really important for you to assess. Okay. So don't compare yourself, someone else's progress to yours. Like, just work on your own timeline there. Like I've had clients I supported recently who literally made a big pivot from a sales director to sales trainer within a month. It's like one of the fastest case studies, like success stories I've seen. And it's because she's a really strong network as a sales professional. Really strong network. She was able to tap into her network over the holidays and was able to make that change right away. And then I've had clients where recently as well, it took 2 years to make a change. Where one of my clients recently, he decided to leave his role. I just posted about this. He was in the investment sales industry, investment sales, and he wanted to become either a product manager or a business analyst. So it's two different careers that we had to get clear on. And he actually quit his job right before the pandemic hit, like 2 years ago. And because of that, there were a lot of layoffs happening, right? So it was not a good time to make a change, to switch jobs. So what he did was upskill. He got certifications to become a certified business analyst and a certified scrum master, product manager there, and did a ton of networking and recently landed at a top bank. And it was a 2-year process there. Okay, so I hope these stories inspire you. I hope it doesn't scare you but I want to give you that perspective as well of how change takes time. Okay. Okay, so let's talk about some of those fears, right? We all have fears when it comes to making a change. What are your fears? Type in the comment to let me know. What are your concerns or fears that you may have when it comes to making a change, right? These are the common ones that I hear. Fear of failure, right? Do I really have what it takes to make this pivot, right? Oftentimes that's what holds people back to actually making that change, right? Or they may be in this analysis paralysis of not making that decision to make that change. Another I hear is judgment, like what will other people think if I make this change? A third is the stability. Will I have a stable income? Do I have to start over again? Right? Do I have to, start at a lower salary, for example? These are some of the common ones. I know there are a lot more. I want to hear from you. Like, what are those common fears that you have when it comes to making a change? Yeah. Gary said, starting over, uncertainty. Okay. Fear, my career change would take super long and I will run out of money and die. Oh, all right. Thank you for being vulnerable there. The time it will take. Okay. This is why I'm talking about timing. Okay. The time it take. Financial stability during the transition. Okay. Oh, this is another big one. Consistent rejection, which I realize is part of the process, is exhausting. Yeah, it's exhausting, right? And it's hard. It is hard. I'm going to tell you that. This is something I deal with a lot of my clients, and it is part of that process. And we're humans. It's okay to have these emotions of feeling sad or exhausted or stressed. Yep. Okay. All right. And it's important to acknowledge these fears, right? Because that's how we're going to be aware and know how we're going to deal with these fears, right? Not sure if I'll be good enough in my new career. I hear you. This is another common one. It's just where the imposter syndrome kicks in, right? Like, do I have what it takes? Like, why are they looking to hire me? Am I really qualified? And sometimes I see people like they'll reject themselves before even applying or putting themselves out there. Yeah. Okay. That my transferable skills would not clearly be stated in my applications. Okay. So not being seen as the right fit. Okay. All right. Thank you for sharing that. So I'm going to teach you more some techniques around how to position yourself, how to think through things as well. Okay. All right. Great. So great to see many of you here. So now I'm going to move into the next segment, which is how to manage a successful career transition. This is where I'm going to really walk you through my Marketability method, where I've guided a lot of my clients through. So I want to encourage you to take notes or come back to the replay. I'm going to teach you some frameworks, some concepts to think about to help you evaluate your career strategically there. Okay, so this is the model, is really the differentiate as top talent model here. And really it stems from here first. The way I like to think about a lot of the work that I do is how to position yourself for success, how to differentiate as top talent. Because at the end of the day, employers are looking for people who are high performers with high potential. So we really want to highlight your assets. So that's really the first step, is thinking about that, how to differentiate as top talent. And here is my formula on how to stand out as top talent to get more opportunities. This is something that I've been teaching for a while. If you can remember these concepts, it's really going to help you think about how to really put yourself out there and position yourself for success. So the first is you want to increase your marketability. Second, you want to increase your visibility. Third, you want to increase your credibility. And lastly, you want to increase your likability. So let me explain what this really means, right? To really position yourself as top talent. The marketability piece is really tied into essentially your marketing. So this is where you want to think about personal branding. I did a whole talk last week on another live show on Sono Bahal's show on personal branding, and I'm going to walk you through that. But this essentially, you want to think of personal branding. You want to think about how you can optimize your LinkedIn profile, your resume, your elevator pitch, all those essentially marketing documents that's going to help you elevate your marketability there. Okay, so that's first. The visibility, this is really the networking, putting yourself out there, being active on LinkedIn so that you are being top of mind, right? When you share your expertise, share your voice, share your messages, naturally, it's going to help increase your visibility. And the next one, which is your credibility, right? Because you're being seen as an expert or a thought leader. So by just putting yourself out there, it's going to help with that. And so the third one, credibility. This is what I call, it's like being seen, like as the expert or the thought leader, or showcasing that you have this track record of success where people are referring you to opportunities, right? Whether you have strong endorsements, testimonials, recommendations, or you just have a strong reputation of what you do. Naturally, people are going to keep you in mind for opportunities there. Like this is like where they say the tapping into like that hidden job market is that if you have a strong network and they know your area of expertise and what you're looking for, and that you have that strong credibility, they're going to endorse you. They're going to refer you for opportunities. Okay. And studies show that you are 5 times more likely to get hired through a referral. Okay? That's a lot. 5 times more likely to get hired through a referral there. And then last one, the likability. So this is really the soft skills. This is the soft skills for in terms of communication, people skills, influence skills, right? The relationship building skills. Right? You know, at first they are looking at your qualifications, whether you have the basic qualifications or minimum qualifications to get a foot in the door. But as you move forward in the interview process, they're really looking at, do I like you? Do I trust you? Do I want to work with you? So working on improving your communication skills and people skills is really, really important there. Okay. So these are the 4 things to consider to help you stand out as top talent to get more opportunities. So the message here is you really want to be outstanding to stand out, right? And like, don't be shy in highlighting what you're amazing at, what you're known for, what you're good at, right? These are things that you really want to highlight to stand out there. Okay. Feel free to type in this formula in there. If this is resonating with you, type in a +1 in the comments so that I know you're engaging with me. Type in a +1 is that this is like resonating. Okay. And I'm curious to hear from you, right? Based on these 4 things as well. Which one would you like to focus on this year or in the next month, right? In terms of improving, is it marketability? Is it visibility, credibility, likability? Okay. What's the first one in terms of prioritizing that you really want to focus working on improving to help you stand out there? Okay. Type in the comment to let me know. Okay. Okay. So I see a lot of +1s. All right. This is resonating with you. All right. That's great to hear that. And let me see which one you want to work on first as your priority. Okay. You're going to notice that a lot of things I'm going to get you to really prioritize what to work on because it's going to help you manage your effort, your energy, and your time as well. Okay. Credibility, marketability. Okay. A lot of you are typing in marketability right now. It's going really fast here. This is great to see there. Okay, good, good. Okay, so keep this formula in mind. It's really going to help you think about the type of activities that you want to do to help you stand out there. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the next part here now, which is really the first piece of discovering your essence. This is what I talk a lot about is soul searching before job searching. This stage is all about getting clear on who you are, what you want, what's important to you. This is like for me when I do this coaching with clients, it's like life coaching, really looking at the 360 of how your career fits into your life. Okay. So I'm going to walk you through a high level strategic framework that I guide my clients through here, which is what I call the want, need, and can analysis. So the first is the want analysis. So this is really understanding your motivation and desires. This is where you want to think about your dreams, your interest, your ideal type of role, ideal type of lifestyle, ideal type of companies that you want to work at, your ideal compensation, getting really clear of what you really, really want. Right? You also want to get clear on like what are you really good at, right? Your strengths and what's really important to you, which is really prioritizing your core values, right? At the end of the day, what I said earlier is that you want to make sure there's alignment to your strengths, interests, and values when it comes to choosing what you really want. Okay, so that's the first step is doing this want analysis to really understand what drives you, what motivates you there. Okay. The second is the need analysis. So this is really the external factors, is really understanding the market need. Right? So this is like doing market research of understanding like what is in demand right now. What are the trends? What are the opportunities? What are the challenges in the market? What type of problems need to be solved? And that's going to help you also assess the type of career change you want to make. Right? So for example, like some of the big ones right now, like there's a lot of opportunities in the tech industry or even the sub-tech industry like fintech, health tech, educational tech. There's a lot of opportunities in those spaces there, right? That you can consider making a pivot. And so this is where you want to do the research to understand essentially the hiring requirements. Like what are the roles that are being posted right now? What are the minimum qualifications and what are the preferred qualifications? By doing this analysis, it's going to help you to think differently. It's going to help you think from an employer standpoint, not just from your standpoint of what you have to offer there. Okay, so that's the second step, which is the need analysis of understanding the external market and the employer's hiring requirements. The third is the can analysis. So this is really what I call it's the so what analysis, right? Once you understand what you want, what the needs are, it's like, what can you offer, right? This is all about thinking, well, how do I need to best position myself? What's the so what here? Like this is where you need to make a decision. Like, based on this is like, do I want to change industries? Do I want to change careers? Do I want to work for a small company, a big company? Do I want to get to the next level or be an individual contributor? This is like things that you want to consider, like decide and think about, well, what can I offer here? What are some things I want to position myself or how to position myself there? Okay. So this is a very high level, they call it like a strategy framework, like what I learned in business school is like want, need, and can analysis there to help you with gaining career clarity there. Okay. Is this resonating? Type in a +1. Type in a +1 here. Okay, if this is resonating. Okay, so this is, I'm going to spend a little bit more time here because I know there's probably a lot of people who are contemplating and not sure. Okay, and one thing I want to encourage you to do, right? At the end of the day, okay, you need to give yourself a timeline. Are you giving yourself 1 month, 2 months, 3 months to figure things out? At the end of the day, you need to make a decision. Even though you may not have all the answers. You're not going to have all the answers. I'm going to tell you this. You're not going to have 100% certainty. You're not going to have 100% of the answers to help you make a decision. You're going to have to, at the end of the day, to trust your heart, trust your gut, right? Really like, what's the truth here, right? Not what others think, but what do you really, really want? And you're going to have to trust your gut to decide, like, this is what I want. And then we're going to start thinking about what's the next best step to get there. Okay. The thing is, any type of change you're going to look to make is scary, right? But don't let fear hold you back in making a decision and moving forward, right? Every step you take is going to give you that courage and confidence to move forward, okay? And when you have made this decision, you're going to communicate in a more compelling way to anyone that you meet because there's this conviction that you want this and you know why you want this, Okay, so this is really key for those who are feeling really stuck right now. But really, I think the bottom, like you know what it is you're really scared. Is make a decision. Okay, make a decision before you move forward. Okay, so I'm glad to see this is resonating with a lot of you here. Okay, all right. So I'm going to share with you a story. It was an executive client that I supported last year. He was at the same company for 18 years at a bank at the VP level, VP of research in capital markets, right? Really successful, managed a team as well. And essentially, he got laid off. He got a package, got laid off, and haven't had to look for a job, right, in nearly 2 decades. And so we worked together to get really, really clear on what he wanted next. We actually spent more time on this career clarity piece than all the subsequent phases, because once we got clear of what's really important to him, what he wanted, it really helped him with finding the right people to connect with. And so he actually applied for this very first job he applied to. He got an interview, aced the interview, and made a pivot. So he pivoted essentially from the capital markets industry to corporate real estate. Completely different industry there, but still leveraging his expertise in a management level type of role. Okay. And so to me, this is a very powerful story, right? Like someone who's been same company for 18 years, haven't had to look for a job. It's very, very scary to make a change, let alone like also making a bigger change into another industry where you don't know anyone. But this is why the soul searching before a job searching is important, because you're going to become more alive once you're really clear of what you really want there. Okay. Okay, so the next phase of the My Marketability Method is defining your personal brand, right? Once you know where you're heading, what you're going, next is defining your personal brand. So this is really helping you figure out essentially how to position you for success, right? That first phase is like really getting things out there. Now it's really connecting the dots. Okay, so I'm going to walk you through some things that I do with my clients to really position yourself for success. So here's some exercises to do in terms of defining your personal brand. These are my 5 Ps. These are the 5 Ps that I like to teach. So the first one is really product. Thinking of yourself, you are the product. What are your features? So this is where you want to think about your personality, your strengths, your skills. Those are things that you want to assess, like of who you are. Okay, so that's the first step, is the product. Think of the features. The second is potential. Essentially, this is your track record of success, right? By thinking about your track record of success, you are being seen as a high potential talent. Okay. This stage, you can also think of like your performance, the proof. It's a proof, essentially. But I like to call it potential because you want to give the perception that you are a high performer with high potential. So this is where you want to think about, what are my proud career highlights? What are my proud accomplishments? What are the results that I have delivered to my employer? Okay. Quantify to qualify. The more specific you can get, the better. Okay. So that's the next P. The third is your perception. So essentially, this is the reputation. What are you known for? This is where I want to encourage you to send out a perception survey to at least 20 to 25 people. People that you've worked with, people that you know, people who can really give you honest feedback. And you can ask questions like, what words would you use to describe me? How would you describe my communication style, leadership style? What value do I really bring? When you can get these type of honest answers and feedback from people you've worked with, it's an eye-opening exercise. And then from there, you can create a word cloud. Like, what are these common words or phrases people use to describe me? And then you can compare, does this align with how I want to portray myself? Is this what I really want to be known for? If not, what do I need to do to change that perception there? This is particularly important for those who are looking to make a change in their career, like a different industry or profession, is what do you need to emphasize more to highlight to change that perception there? The fourth is positioning. So this is really the whole messaging piece, right? Once you understand like what you're known for, what you're good at, what's your track record, how are you going to communicate effectively? This is where you want to have things like your sound bites, your personal branding statement, your value proposition, the benefits of hiring you. These are the things that you want to think about as it's going to become more compelling. This is where I want to encourage you to put your marketer hat on. Think like a marketer, right? Think of catchy phrases, right? So for example, one of the examples I use is like, I'm a career coach where I help you stand out, get hired, and earn more. So really punchy lines. And that's something you can come up with for what you do as well. Okay. And that's going to then become a guiding theme of things that you can talk about to highlight these things that you're really good at there. Okay. So that's the fourth piece. The fifth piece is the packaging. So this is really the image, the external factors of how do you want to show up, right? In terms of whether your appearance, of your style, how you sound, how you communicate, all that ties into the packaging as that matters, right? So those are things that you want to really think about when it comes to defining your personal brand. And I can tell you from my experience, when you get clear on this exercise, you're going to become more confident naturally. You're going to be more clear, and it's going to influence the way you're going to communicate in your resume, in your LinkedIn profile, in your elevator pitch. All that is going to drive and influence those things. Okay, so this is why I really believe in doing the personal branding exercises. I have seen, this is what I've seen from my practice as a coach with my one-on-one clients, is that when you elevate your personal brand, you also elevate your market value, which means you increase your earning potential. Right? I have seen clients where they have been making 5 figures or 6 figures more than before because we have really got clear on the branding and what differentiates them and what makes them stand out. Okay. All right. Is this resonating? What are some of the nuggets so far? Type in the comment, let me know, like, what are those nuggets so far here? Okay. So next, I'm going to move into the next phases, which is developing your marketing materials, right? Once you get clear on your personal brand, the next is really developing your marketing materials. Now, what I've observed is that this phase could take a bit longer, right? Because this is where you are developing your marketing assets. So this includes things such as your elevator pitch, your resume, your LinkedIn profile, cover letter, referral, and outreach messages. These are the type of messaging documents that you need to create there. Okay, so for some, this could take a bit longer. It takes time, especially for those who are working. This could be a lot of work there, but it's definitely worthwhile doing. Okay, so these are things that you want to keep in mind. Now, so my best advice here is for you to help you think about this is because one of the common mistakes that I see in resumes or LinkedIn profiles or even like elevator pitch is people tend to highlight a lot more of the responsibilities of what they've done, but they don't highlight what they've done differently or what they've done well. And this is where thinking about your accomplishments and your results, any promotions that you've received, awards you received, matters, right? Because that's how you're going to stand out. So that's really my best advice there, is to think of highlights that are interesting, inspiring, or impressive. And when you can put that hat on, it's really going to help you stand out. Okay. And the key here, the strategy here, is that you want to ensure all these messaging aligns back to your brand. Going back to your brand, like what is the theme? What are your top 3 unique selling points? And what are those stories to back it up? Okay. And when you can have that nailed, it's really going to be very, very powerful and memorable as well. Okay. This is the work I love doing with my clients because we do spend time like talking about these things and strategizing, and then we practice it to see whether it resonates there. Okay. So I'm curious to hear from you. Which document or material here that you need to work on? If you had to prioritize right now, what do you really need to work on? Is it the elevator pitch, the resume, the LinkedIn profile, cover letter, or outreach messages? Type in the comment to let me know. What is it that you need to work on? I usually like to start with the elevator pitch because I find that really ties in nicely to the branding. And it really also gives you that confidence right away if you need to do some networking that you can put yourself out there. I like to also have 2 different versions, like a short condensed version, which is about 30 to 60 seconds long of your intro that you use for networking, and then a longer version, like a 2-minute version when it comes to interviews there. Okay, so you can have different versions. Okay. Okay, so resume, outreach messages. Okay. All right. Floyd's putting me on the spot. Can you do an example in an elevator pitch based on your background and experience? Yes, I actually did one in my interview training talk there. Yeah, I can do. I'll do a short one instead of a long one here. a short one. You just put me on the spot there, Floyd. Okay, let me think a little bit. There, I'm going to do one based on what I do today versus me there. Okay. All right. Hi, I'm Dana YK Chan, founder of My Marketability, where I help you stand out, get hired, and earn more. Over the last 11 years, I have worked with over 1,000 clients through one-on-one coaching and gained over 6,000 hours of one-on-one coaching training, where I've helped people in making career transitions, their branding, resumes, LinkedIn, interview prep, and salary negotiation. Prior to starting my business, I have worked in a variety of areas where I worked in consulting, recruiting, marketing, and operations. And one of the common themes of what I've been known for is really helping people to elevate their potential, really leveraging their strengths to really deliver high performing results. One of the things that I'm focused on this year is to really elevating my speaking and training, where I really help more people worldwide to figure out what is it that they really want so that they can land their dream jobs. I just made that up, Floyd. I made that up. But my point here is that what you probably notice is I had some sound bites in there. I also had some specific numbers, right? Some specific numbers, tangible numbers to give that credibility there. And then really talking about in terms of also like what are some things that I'm looking for, what I know I want to do. Okay. So I actually walk my clients through a formula as well when it comes to the elevator pitch there, that we really think about what are you passionate about? What are you known for? What's your past experience? What's your proud accomplishment? What are you looking to do next? And your why, like why you, if you're looking for a job, like why are you the best candidate to hire? So if I had to answer something like that, like when people ask me, like, why should they hire me as it's a career coach? I talk about how one is my track record of success, where I've been a coach for the past 11 years, working with clients from entry level all the way to the senior C-level executive in over 30 different industries and 30 different professions. And then I talk about how having that strong corporate experience, where I understand the different business functions, and having been a recruiter where I've seen millions of LinkedIn profiles and thousands of resumes, I know what it takes to stand out and what employers look for. Right? So this is how you build a business case. Like when people ask, like, why should we hire you? You want to think about what really matters to them and talk about those things that you've done and give those benefit statements there. Okay. Awesome impromptu speech. Thank you, Johan. Yeah, I was totally put on the spot. That was good, Floyd? You approved? Okay. All right, that's good. Thank you for putting me on the spot there. I love that. Okay, so once we get your marketing materials created, you're going to feel already this like next level of confidence. You're going to be like, wow, okay, is this me? Like you're going to be like, this is me. So you're going to already feel ready to put yourself out there, which is the next phase of developing your job search strategy. This is getting ready to launch. Okay, this is putting yourself out there now, of getting ready to launch. Okay, this may feel scary, but it's also very exciting. I know that a lot of people may have a hard time putting themselves out there or networking. They may find it awkward, but this phase is essential. You cannot get away from it. Okay. Okay. So these are some things to help you with your job search strategy and plan. All right. So things to do. One is online application, which I know many of you do. Like a lot of times, at least, over 90% of people, this is what they do. Okay. But this is not the only thing you want to do, right? Because reality is that there's less than 3% chance of getting an interview through just online application. So you really need to diversify your job search strategy. Okay. A lot of times when people come to me is that all they've done is really this one strategy, just online application, applying for jobs. If you are an experienced professional or an executive, this strategy is not going to work. You're going to need other strategies there. Okay. So this is where things that you want to do is you really want to do market research. You really want to understand the industry, the business, the role, the people. All that is like the competitive intelligence. It's going to give you the intel to, have these speaking points of what to talk about when it comes to putting yourself out there. A third is LinkedIn activity. So I'm a big fan of using LinkedIn for your job search because it's the world's largest professional network. Okay, so this includes things as like the research that you can do, networking with people, sharing content, writing your own posts to build thought leadership as well. I had a client last year who was finishing his MBA, who was a digital marketer for 10 years, and he did not have an active presence on LinkedIn. And I encouraged him to write 3 articles on best practices in digital marketing, case studies. Just after writing 3 articles, he had over a dozen interview opportunities. So it's a great way to build credibility and visibility and marketability there. Okay, so that's the third. Fourth is warm network and referrals. So this is where first tapping into your network. Okay, I like to start with warm network first, just because it's easier, right? It's getting your feet wet. You already know these people. It's easier to reach out to them. So create a list of at least 100 people that you can reach out to. Now, 100 may seem a lot. If you don't have that many, that's okay. Start with 20 or 30 first, and then continue to build on that. Okay. The point here is the reason why you want to get to around like 100 is that not everyone's going to respond back to you. Not everyone's going to reply back to you there. Okay. And I like to think about the different phases of networking. When you're first starting out, start with people you know, because it's easy. Okay. Get your feet wet to learn about like what's happening in the industry, at the company, what it's like working there. Start with that first. And as you get more confidence and you get more information, you can progress through meeting with people like the recruiters and the hiring managers and the executives, where you want to pitch yourself more, right? So you go from that exploratory discovery phase, especially for those who are trying to figure out what's next. You just want to talk to more like the peer level people that you know before you move into people who are the decision makers there. Okay. All right. You can also consider reaching out to agency and corporate recruiters, right? So agency recruiters are those who work at an agency and they recruit for different companies there. This is a great strategy for those who are more experienced, especially for those who have at least, probably I would say at least 7+ years experience. A lot of times I find a lot of agency recruitment firms, they tend to hire people with more experience there. And the strategy here is that you want to find the right agency. So meaning those who recruit either in your industry or in your profession. Not every recruiter is right for you. You got to find the right recruiter there. Now, corporate recruiters are recruiters who work directly at the organization, the employer there. Right. So if you have like a dream company that you want to work for, you can find those corporate recruiters. Now, sometimes if you're targeting like big companies like an Amazon, for example, they have thousands of recruiters. So you may not know which recruiter to reach out to, but you can maybe check them out on LinkedIn to see whether they have things that they list out, whether they specialize, let's say, in tech recruiting, recruiting for engineers, or executive roles. Do a little research before you reach out to them there. Okay. So that's another method. The other is hiring managers and senior leaders, right? So this is like going direct to the source, where those who are in that decision-making power, when you network with them. I find this really effective for those who are very experienced or for those who are looking for a very particular or niche role, particularly when I think about my clients who are at that director level and above. That this method of going direct is very effective, because sometimes if you have a unique area of expertise, those roles are not posted. It could be newly created, like through a business discussion of understanding their needs. So you have like almost like a consultation type of discussion of understanding their business to co-create a role. Or it could just be a timing that it's not open yet, but if you stay in touch with them for 3 months, 6 months or so, that role can be open there. Okay. All right. So I'm curious to hear from you. What are some of these activities that you want to do more of based on what I shared here? What are some of these activities you want to do more of for your job search? Okay, these are just some examples. I'm sure there are more. Others could be attending events or conferences. So for example, like for those who are interested in tech, there's a big one that's happening right now called Collision. It's one of the biggest tech conferences that's happening in Toronto, and thousands of people are attending that. And for those, if you want to pivot into tech or meet some of the biggest tech leaders, that's a great conference to attend to network and meet people. Okay, so that's just like one example there. Okay. All right, so let me see. LinkedIn activities. All right, yes. LinkedIn is a good one, right? Because you're going to build that momentum and build that visibility and credibility there. Okay. Warm network referrals. That's good. Okay. One thing about referrals that I want to talk about here is that you always want to make it easier for people to refer you. So meaning, one is they need to be clear on what you want and what you have to offer. And to make it easy for them to refer you, I always recommend giving them your blurb, like the marketing blurb that you want to use, how they introduce you. because then you're controlling your brand and your narrative. So I always get my clients, like, if you want me to make introductions, like, give me a bit blurb of who you are, what are your top 3 unique selling points, what are you looking for? And that's just going to make it easier, because then they can just copy and paste and make some minor tweaks to it. Okay, so these are little hacks of things you can do to essentially progress further there. Okay. Jessica, I'd like to start creating posts for my page. Yes, amazing. Yes, start doing that. Good. Hiring managers, senior leaders. Good. Awesome. All right. So, question here: what is the best way to search for a job that you've tried and it was successful? So, I don't know if there's necessarily a best way, but I know what's effective, just from my experience working with a lot of clients, is definitely networking. Right. The baseline is a lot of people do the online application. Networking is definitely an effective method. And within networking, there are different ways of networking there. So I find like networking is a really a great way. The thing is, with posting, let's say LinkedIn and all that, yes, you can maybe get found by recruiters, right? That's like opening the door. But networking is where you're really having real conversations. You're having real conversations about what's actually happening in the business, or what's happening in with the hiring and all that. And that's going to help you for them to keep you top of mind there. So personally, that is one of my, for me, like, I would consider like favorite methods to do. If I have to pick one out of these, is networking. And ideally, I would say is networking with hiring managers, people who are in that decision-making power, because they are the ones who are like, oh, do I see a good fit? When you're first starting out, you're probably not going to get to the right hiring manager at first, right? I had a client last year. She wanted to get into Amazon from banking. She pivoted from banking to Amazon. And Amazon is huge, right? It's so hard to find the right person. She reached out to someone on LinkedIn, wasn't the right person. They built a relationship. Then this person referred her to someone else in the company, had a chat, wasn't the right person. And then this other person connected her to another person who was a hiring manager. And they connected, they bonded, didn't have the right role, but like 3 months down the road, this person was hiring, right? And so my point here is that if you are really serious or passionate about a company, you have to follow up. You have to be persistent. You can't give up so easily, right? If you're just having one conversation with someone at a company, it's not enough. I've had people where had dozens of conversations before they even got hired there. And a lot of times it's finding that right role as well, the right opportunity, the right fit, to make that jump there. A long time ago, I had a client who was pivoting from the government industry, public sector. He was a campaign manager for politicians, and he really wanted to pivot into tech after his MBA. And so I referred him to people in my network. He talked to like his friends. And at the end of the day, he talked to over like a dozen people at that same company, this one company that he wanted to get into. And he had multiple endorsements. Like, I endorsed him, his high school friends endorsed him, the people I introduced him endorsed him. So there was multiple endorsements here to help him make that successful jump there. Okay. So I hope that was helpful. The best for me, the question was the best for me, I find it's networking. I tend to get a lot of referrals myself, whether it's speaking opportunities or in the past, like recruiting opportunities. A lot of it's through referrals, like people where I stay in touch with. I stay in touch with my network, and people think of me for opportunities there as well. Okay, so moving on, the next phase is deliver your messages, right? So the goal of the previous goal, developing your job strategy, is generating interview opportunities, right? You network, you put yourself out there, and the goal is to generate some interview opportunities there. And so this next phase, which is really that interview prep and practice, right? That's the next phase there. And so some of the things that you want to consider when it comes to delivering a great interviews. Here's some of my best advice. I can have a whole training on interview prep, okay? If you haven't attended some of my past trainings, I have one on how to talk about your experience that sells. Check it out on my YouTube channel, or how to build trust and rapport in interviews. These are both 2 1 hour long type of trainings there, but I'm gonna give you my best advice here. So first is to know the role, interviewers, and company. So this is really the research that you really want to understand the scope of the role. Why is it open? What are the responsibilities? What are the deliverables? What are the expectations? Understanding the interviewer's background. What do they care about? What are they like? If you have some people that you know there, you can have like a informational chat to learn a little bit more about this person or the team. And then researching about the company and business, right? At the end of the day, you want to get some insights on that because that's how you're going to really tailor the conversation. If you don't know anything about it, your interview is going to lack substance, lack depth, right? It's going to be very surface level where you're just talking about yourself and not about their needs there. So that's the first advice. The second, then, once you understand the needs and what's important to them, this is where you want to anticipate questions, right? There's going to be some common questions like the tell me about yourself, why this role, why this company, why you. But you can also anticipate further specific questions to the job based on their core competencies required, right? So if the role requires someone who do a lot of cross-functional collaboration, like the teamwork, you can probably expect questions around that, around prioritization, around communicating with others, dealing with conflict, prioritizing. Those are some questions you can expect to get there. So anticipate that. The third is to master your glowing introduction. So this is what I call the elevator pitch. I like to call it glowing introduction. Guarantee you're going to have some sort of version of walk me through your resume, tell me about yourself, or tell me about your experience. So you really want to have that master and nailed. And ideally, you want to tailor it. You want to tailor it as much as possible to the role that you were interviewing for, because that's going to make a huge difference there. Okay. I have a course on my website if you are interested. It's called the Master Your Glowing Introduction course. It's a 20-minute training that I walk you through step by step, where I provide you a variety of examples and templates to walk you through there. So feel free to check that out if that's something you're interested in. And it's a very affordable course there. Okay, so the next one is know your why messages and relevant stories. So this is all about the whys, right? Knowing why this role, why this company, why the change, and why you. You want to nail that because employers always want to know your motivation. Why is it that you want something like this? And you want to keep it to, some very specific, clear reasons. I like to use the power of 3 rule, 3 reasons why. And then you build a case around that. You elaborate further. Relevant stories. So these are stories or examples relevant to the job. Core competencies. So if you know the job requires like a lot of collaboration, be prepared with collaboration examples. If you know the job requires a lot of analytical, critical thinking, think of examples around that. If the job requires a lot of leadership and influence or strategic planning, think of examples around that. Okay. Be prepared. At least have 5 to 7 great stories to tell. It's okay to repeat yourself in terms of having similar stories, but you can take a different angle of the different lessons or learnings that you want to highlight there. Okay. And the next is to practice with great on-camera presence. So this is huge, right? There's still a lot of online interviews these days, and I find that even lately when I've been talking to potential like new clients, that even just like the audio may not be as strong, and that impacts the experience of people listening to you. So make sure you have great audio, great lighting, great setting in terms of your camera setup, as that's going to make a great first impression there. Okay, so these are the things to keep in mind there. Okay, is this resonating with you? Type in a +1. For those who are here, type in +1 so that I know that the audience is still here. Okay. I want to say one of the common things I see is that people tend to spend a lot of time on the content, but not enough time on the delivery, which means really the practicing, right? 93% of your message impact is based on your body language and your tone of voice. Only 7% is based on words. So once you've nailed your content, the key here is to practice. And this is why I love doing mock interviews with my clients, because it just shifts you to another level. Like there's a difference between you think you know what you want to say versus what are you actually going to say and how you're going to show up on camera with great presence there. Okay. So simple things like eye contact, smile, showcasing warmth, having great posture, right? Showcasing some of your hands to have some more dynamicness to it as well, right? Position yourself from like 1 to 1.5 feet, 1 to 1.5 feet away from the camera so that you can also see the top half of your body there. Okay. So little things like that there. Awesome. Good. All right. Great to see a lot of you are still here paying attention. Amazing. Okay. So All right, so a story here is one of my clients, I loved working with this client, is that she pivoted from nonprofit to tech at Amazon last summer with a six-figure salary increase. Huge, 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 like life-changing um, thing here, and I was so proud of her. Now, however, it was not easy. We had to really do everything that you've been listening here, where we had to get really clear on what she wanted to pivot into. She knew she wanted to pivot into tech, but wasn't sure what type of role would fit her in tech. So we had to look at her background and experience of what she could leverage. She comes from a education background in promoting STEM education for kids. That was her background. And she also has a master of that education there. So we really looked at, well, what would make sense? And at the end of the day, she landed a role in a technical program manager role, which was all about helping engineers to onboard. Right. So there are some similarities in terms of helping people, but this one is more in a technical setting there. But my point here is the reason I want to share this story was that it did not happen right away. In fact, she had multiple rejections from all these other different top tech companies multiple times before she made this happen. And however, every time she got this rejection, we learned from it. Like, what are the key lessons? What can I do better? What do I want to emphasize more? And what I really appreciate about this client, which I rarely see in people, was that she had like a master grid of her interview answers. Like, she had a spreadsheet, she had a whole entire Amazon interview prep document that I use today to share with my other clients of essentially all these leadership principles, the type of questions that you can get, and thought of like pretty much every single question that you can get and had answers to it. That's the next level of preparation. Like, if you are looking to target these competitive roles, competitive companies, and you want to increase your salary by 5 to 6 figures, you need to ask yourself, am I willing to do what it takes to prepare myself for this next level? Am I willing to show up as this high performing, high potential talent? And that's the message I have here, is that it's not easy. It's not easy at all. You know, we just read the highlight reels of these stories, but there's so much going on behind the scenes of just the mental, the emotional, the time commitment as well, to making that change there. Okay. So I hope that inspires you. Okay, so the last D is, after you get your interviews, is obviously we want you to ace your interview to get the offer, is salary negotiation, which is demand your worth. This is the topic that I also love working with my clients on, is how do we negotiate the optimal salary there? Okay, so here's some of my best advice. This is a whole other talk that I could do as well, but I want to share with you some of my best advice, salary negotiation tips. First is to research the market rate. So you got to understand what the market is paying, right? What the industry is paying, especially if you're looking to pivot a different industry, understand that, right? So that example I just shared with you, when my client made essentially 6 figures more, she was okay, whatever they offered at first, because coming from nonprofit, it is a bit lower. But we had to really understand what the market rate is, right? To understand what that is, and then also understand what the salary range is for that particular role, right? The recruiter also gave a range as well, right? And that's going to help you negotiate. And then understand your negotiation power. This is where you want to assess your negotiation power there. Okay. And so what I mean by that is that you have greater negotiation power when, for example, let's just say that this was a very hard to fill a role and it took them months to fill, right? And they really want you. You know that you have greater negotiation power, or that you have a very particular skill set that they're looking for. That also means you have greater negotiation power, right? Now, obviously, like if you're unemployed, it could also mean that you have less negotiation power because they know that you want a job there. So that does impact in terms of the ability to how much you can negotiate there. Now, it doesn't mean, I just want to be clear that it doesn't mean that if you're unemployed, you cannot negotiate. You still can. I have many, many clients who are unemployed who are still able to negotiate there. Okay. It just means how much can you negotiate, how many things that you can negotiate. You also want to identify your bargaining chips. So this is where you want to think about, like, what are some things that you want that you can leverage, right? So a great strategy that I've seen that's worked really, really well for many of my clients is when you have multiple offers or multiple opportunities, or you're expecting an offer or you're getting an offer, you want to signal to the other employer that you're expecting an offer. And this will help them either accelerate their decision-making process or help them for you to negotiate there. Okay. I just had a client, a more junior level client at the analyst level, business system analyst. He had two offers that he got. One was like that he got was 75K and the other was 100K plus there. So he told the employer who gave 75K, they're like, listen, I'm getting another offer expecting over 100K there. What can you do? He didn't even ask what he was like, what can you do? And within 3 hours, he got a response back and they basically matched it with that 100K to the 100K there and gave a 5-figure signing bonus. Okay. So sometimes you're just presenting the facts, right? Right now, it is a job seekers candidates market as well. But we also need to be careful. We have to be careful of how much we're asking as well, right? If you're getting an offer, let's just say $40,000 and you're asking for almost double, like $75,000 or $80,000, that could be a very hard stretch, right? It may not make sense at all. Like if a role is just paying at this and you're asking for the double, and that probably just means it's not the right fit for you, right? If they're really at this low, it just may not be the right fit out there. Okay. The next is prioritize what's important to you and what to negotiate, right? So this is important, right? When I think of negotiation, you're not trying to negotiate everything. We got to really prioritize what do you want to negotiate? Is it the more base salary? Is it the performance bonus? Is it a signing bonus? Is it like a car allowance? Is it equity, like stock options? Whatever that is, you have to prioritize on what's important to you, right? Typically, there's only like a few things, like 2 to 3 things you're going to be negotiating that you really want to emphasize instead of asking for everything there. Okay, so that's really key there. Okay, so these are just some of my best advice. Every negotiation is unique, right? Every situation is unique. To me, a big part is really understanding the situation, understanding the whole process, understanding the person's background, and be able to really identify like what those bargaining chips are so that you can prioritize how to best negotiate there. At the end of the day, you want to be grateful. You want to express gratitude, express interest, enthusiasm about the opportunity, and you just really want to ask, like, what can we do to close the gap, to make it a bit closer here, to meet what you're looking for there. Okay. If you're interested in getting some salary negotiation support, I do offer that coaching service as well. Feel free to reach out directly to me there. Okay, so I walked you through pretty much my entire My Marketability method here. Okay, so here's a recap, right? At the center of it is differentiating as top talent. And then from there, you want to think of how you discover your essence, which is gaining career clarity. Second is defining your personal brand, right? Really identify what makes you unique and different. Third is developing your marketing materials. So you want to optimize that to generate opportunities. Fourth is developing your job search strategy, which is really your game plan for networking and job search. Fifth is delivering your messages, which is really the interview prep and practice. And then lastly, it's demanding your worth, which is salary negotiation. Was this framework helpful to help you think about how to spring into a new career? Type in a +1, give me some thumbs up. Type in the emojis here if this is like something resonating with here. Like this is really the method on how to manage a successful career transition. Okay. And you see, this takes time. Now, I wanted to say that sometimes, things happen. Like I have clients where we jump right into interview prep. You don't necessarily have to start from the first stage. You can jump into different things as well, depending on your situation. And that's totally okay as well. Okay. But the key here is that you have to have a good clarity of who you are, what you want, what's important to you, because that's going to influence the way you pitch yourself effectively there. Okay. Awesome. Great. I'm seeing a lot of +1s and then some hearts here coming in. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. All right. We're going to be wrapping up soon on the next phase, which is how to evaluate the right fit. Okay. Great to see that this is helpful. Okay. Okay. I'm going to move on here. And if there are questions, feel free to type in some questions for me to answer at the end. So lastly, I'm going to walk you through how to evaluate the right fit. Okay, so now I want you to imagine you got this offer. Should I accept the offer here? Right? I get this a lot. I spend a lot of time discussing with my clients, like, is this the ideal opportunity for me to accept there? Okay, so I'm going to walk you through some things to consider. All right, so here are some things to evaluate when it comes to evaluating the opportunity there. And you can also use this like even before you get an offer as well, like when you're just thinking whether to apply to the opportunity, you can use this as a criteria as well. First is the scope of role. Does this role align with your strengths and interests, right? Are you doing what you're really good at? What do you spend majority of your time doing? That's one of the questions I love asking people is that, are you spending majority of time doing what you're good at and what you enjoy? If not, how is this going to impact your happiness level and productivity and performance? Okay, so that's number one, to assess that there. Okay, so I remember one time, like I had a client who was in an analytics role and she still wanted to pivot into another analytics career. And one thing that we got clear on was that she wanted to spend 80% of her time doing analytics, like in front of her computer doing data stuff. But in her current role, she was spending like 80% of her time doing project management and collaboration. And she didn't like that at all. And so it's so important to even get clear, what do I want to spend majority of my time doing that will excite me and energize me there? Second is to think about the growth potential, right? If this is important to you, like, is this going to help me get to the next level or where I want to be, to really assess that? And this is where you can also ask questions about the employer, like, what does that path look like? Or historically, what have people gone into? These are questions that you can also ask the employer there. Third is the people you'll work with. This is a huge one, right? You want to evaluate essentially your boss. Do you like this boss? The people that you're going to work majority of the time with, the leadership team, all these things you want to evaluate. Something that I've seen something really interesting this past year, because I've been doing this for over a decade now, is this is the first time, like the first year in this past year, that I've seen more clients quit within a year of the job, or even within 2 to 3 months, they realize the opportunity is not the right fit. And it's been interesting. I don't know if it's because it's with the pandemic, like we're doing things online, that sometimes it's just harder to communicate expectations, or the role wasn't as advertised. So it's really interesting. So it's really important to get a clear idea of the scope of the role and also the people that you'll work with. I know sometimes interviews could go really fast, that you may just meet with, let's say, the hiring manager in HR, but you really also want to ask yourself, like, who else will I be working with? Like, will I enjoy working with these people? Is that vibe? Like, do you have that vibe and connection with them there? Next is a culture and the leadership team, right? So this is the overall culture of the company. Do you like that? And this is where I really encourage you to ask these questions, like, what is it like? What is the current state like? Like, has there been any like org changes, organizational changes happening, or reorgs happening? How is that impacting the culture? How is the leadership team? Like, has there been any changes at all there? So these are things that you want to understand. If you don't know, ask those questions. Next is the compensation package, right? So you want to evaluate the whole package, not just the base salary, but it's the whole package, including like vacation, sick days, benefits package, performance bonus. Understand all of that. Ask those questions there, okay? Because that's going to help you then look at the whole total value of your package, not just the immediate, just the base salary. Especially for those where you're working at companies like, let's say, the big companies where they offer equity and stock options, that all adds up as well. Okay. Next is the flexibility and work-life balance. This is a big one. I've been hearing a lot from a lot of people, especially, like, I think part of why a lot of people quit their jobs is, we've just been working a lot more hours than before. And so getting really clear on that, like, what it's like and what the non-negotiables are, is really, really key there. Okay. And then lastly is the company's brand and reputation. For some people, this is really important, especially if you, let's say you really want to work for, let's say, big name companies is your thing that's important to you, is this going to help you with where you're heading as well, evaluating that reputation in there, because this also impacts the type of talent that they attract, their whether there's like attrition at the company, and whether it's going to help you to move into your next opportunity there. Okay, so these are some things that I suggest to evaluate. I'm curious to hear from you. Like, what's like your most important when you evaluate the right fit? What is like your most important for you? I know you can have many, but I'm curious to hear, like, what is like the most important for you there. Okay. Okay. So my tip here is you got to know your non-negotiables. Right? Know your non-negotiables. These are things that you're not willing to give up. Okay. What is your non-negotiables? Is it the fact, for example, that like the flexibility is the most important to you, or the fact that you have to be making a minimum, a certain amount, or you must have like a great boss, whatever that is, know your non-negotiables. Like, these are things essentially, like, it's like, if they don't provide that, you are walking away from the opportunity. Okay. I recently had that with a client, right? That they could not meet at a certain essentially base salary that she was looking for. And that was really important to her, right? There was not an alignment. There was no match, unfortunately, there. And so you got to know that what your non-negotiables and be willing to walk away from that. Okay. Ensure that there's alignment with your career direction and future marketability. So this is one thing I like to ask is like, is this opportunity going to help you get to closer where you want to go or further away? If it's closer, then it's great, right? And it's going to help you with your marketability. Then it's great, right? Sometimes it doesn't have to be the dream company or dream career, but if there is alignment to that, then you're moving in the right direction. So for example, I recently had another client who works in finance at a tech startup type of company. And her passion is in sustainability. That's her passion. She really wants to move into sustainability. And she got into a company, which is actually with a top consulting firm in strategy consulting with a focus on sustainability and leveraging her background in finance as well, right? Not necessarily the dream job, but it's getting closer because big name company, strategy consulting, which is really hard to get into, sustainability, which is her passion, big increase in salary, over 5 figures, right? Working with more clients in that space, which is going to open up her network. So all these things align, right? One of her concerns she had was more the hours, the crazy hours, right? But all these other things align with her. And so she decided to take that opportunity. So that's something important to consider there, okay? Okay. And then lastly, do you feel excited about the opportunity, right? This you can't hide, right? It's either, are you excited or not? Like, do you feel good, feel excited about the opportunity? If you do, then it's a good opportunity as well. But if you're having like these hesitation, we're feeling like, oh, there's still some red flags, I'm not sure, then you really need to reconsider, right? You got to trust your gut there, right? And that happens. I've seen that happen with clients, or like, okay, these certain things are red flags that happen in the interview process that just does not make sense or does not align with my core values. Then you got to trust your gut. Okay. But if you feel really excited, that's awesome. Okay. And then there's that alignment there. Okay. So my final words of encouragement is to own your greatness with confidence, to shine and thrive. Own it, right? Believe in yourself. Believe that you have what it takes, that you have a lot of amazing things to offer, and really speak about it. Okay. So I like to talk about how is to, one, identifying your value, right? Identifying what you're amazing at. Believe in your value, right? This is the confidence piece of believing your value, and then convey your value. Convey your value, communicate your value there. Okay. So I hope that helps. And I see some questions coming in as well. I don't see it in my chat room here, but I see it on my phone here coming. I'm going to take a look at some questions to answer before I wrap up here. Okay, I'll give it a little bit more time. I see it coming in from LinkedIn. Okay, if you want to learn more, go check out my website at mymarketability.com. And feel free to check it out. I have tons of free resources on there. And if you are interested in getting some coaching or guidance on how to navigate your career transition, book a consultation call with me, book a time. It's only about 15 minutes for me to learn more about you and for you to learn more about how I can support you there. Connect with me on LinkedIn as well. I should love to share content on career and job search and motivational type of tips there. Feel free to connect with me or follow me there. And subscribe to my YouTube channel, where I have tons of my past free training and live streams as well. Okay. So I'm curious to hear from you. What's your biggest takeaway from today's training? Type it in to let me know what's your biggest takeaway from today's training there. Okay. For those who are interested in using Prezi, like you're wondering what I use today, I use Prezi to create my presentations. I love using it. You can check this out as well if you want to get like a 1-month free upgrade. They actually designed this presentation for me there. So I love the template that they designed for me. Okay, feel free to check that out at prezi.com/attendee upgrade. Okay, so Q&A. For some reason, questions are not coming into my live stream here, but I'm going to check on my phone to see some questions, because I did see someone ask a question here that I don't see here. Is it from Perliana Tina? Any tips for career pivot into an industry that required Field experience. In my case, crisis context that we currently don't have, and tips for finding jobs abroad. Oh, wow, this is a big question. Tips for career pivot into an industry that require field experience. So I would say if you want to pivot into that, I think then you want to talk to people who are doing that right now and see if you can like job shadow them to get some experience, right? Crisis context. I mean, there is crisis management type of courses, right? So definitely look into taking those type of courses. And then in terms of finding jobs abroad, there are definitely job boards on finding jobs abroad. I would suggest also reaching out to people who are already abroad. So wherever you're looking to go to, meet people there, like use LinkedIn to find these people or use LinkedIn to find recruiters as well. Okay, depending on how experienced you are. I've had people I had a client here, 30 years in Toronto, Canadian market, and wanted to move to abroad to UK. This was a long time ago. He reached out to recruiters on LinkedIn that were abroad to help him make that transition from the airline industry into consulting there. Okay. Okay, what else do I see here? What most important? So let me see what people are so interesting. And this is not, I'm glad I have my phone on here. What you're learning, growth potential. Roberta said, most important is who I will be working for. Yes. Flexibility and work-life balance is important to you. Yes. Growth potential and culture is important. Johan said, people you work with and your leader, how they empower you and how much can they help you learn and grow and maximize your performance and potential. Okay, that's great to hear that. Okay, Jessica said, I need to focus on getting really clear on what I want. That's a key learning. That's great to hear that. I think that is part of, for a lot of us, if you're not clear, even sometimes I find you may think you're clear, but then when you communicate it, is it clear to people? So this is where you want to test your messaging out. Is it resonating with people? I find from my experience, or for those who are starting out, a lot of times because we're trying to cast a wider net, that we tend to say things like, I'm open to anything, or I'm open to like new possibilities. And it doesn't resonate or hit home with people, especially if you're trying to ask them for advice or for them to introduce you to people. Get clear. Like, even if you're not clear yet, give them some options. Like, I'm considering this or this. And then you brainstorm the pros and cons together to see what makes sense, right? Or talk to people who work in that area to like, do I really like what they're doing? Like, does that align with my interests there? Okay, good. Amazing. Amazing. Well, thank you so much for being here with me today. I hope you learned a lot. Feel free to watch the replay. This was like my brand new training, and I really walk you through like my signature method of the My Marketability Method. So feel free to share it with others. Gives you a really big picture overview of how to make a successful career transition. And know that it's going to take time, okay? But it's totally possible. Surround yourself with people who's going to lift you up, who's going to give you that positivity and energy to really believe in you. Because I know career change or job change is not easy, but it's definitely possible, and it's definitely worth it once you make that transition there. Okay. Amazing. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here today. I hope you learned a lot. Thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and cheers to an amazing quarter and season ahead. Bye for now.